Hello guys, welcome to today's video. If you're new here, hi, I'm Erica. If you're not new, welcome back. So glad to have you here with me today. So for today's video, I'm going to be doing a Hoya care video, and I'm also going to be showing you guys some Hoya mail that I got last week. Unfortunately, I couldn't film an unboxing that day, but I did want to go ahead and show you guys what I got because I'm super excited to have some new Hoya to add to my collection. So if that sounds interesting to you, let's go ahead and get to today's video. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to show you one of the plants that I ended up getting. I haven't got these fully out of the packaging. It is just a couple days later since I got them in the mail. So I am going to have to get these the rest of the way out and then also see what substrate they're in, possibly get them moved over. This first Hoya is a Hoya Wilbur Graves. And this one is the China version. It has a more elongated leaf shape. I really thought this leaf on here was really pretty. I love the half moon variegation on it. This one gets really silvery leaves. If you look at some of the leaves down here, you can see that they are mostly silver. So I just really thought that was so pretty. So I knew I wanted to add this one to my collection. I just think it is a super unique looking Hoya. I really love splashy and silvery Hoyas, so I knew this would be a great fit for me. It's got a little bit of new growth coming in here at the top. There's a node. So super excited to see what the new growth is going to look like on this one. I'm hoping that it continues with more of this half moon variegation, I guess you would call it. But I just think that is really pretty on these two leaves. So I'm hoping that continues. I still think these mostly silver leaves are really pretty. So super excited to have this one in my collection, guys. So let's go ahead and take a look at the other one I have. So this next one has a very long name and I hope I don't butcher it too much, but it is called
Grassy edgy polenta.
Okay, I can't say it. I'm going to go ahead and put the name below, but here is a look at this Hoya. So this one is so pretty, guys. This is one that was on my wish list for a while. I really love the coloring on this one, and I love the darker margins it has. So if you see on the outside, it has kind of like that darker almost black looking color, and then it has that running down the middle as well. So that really dark veining, which I absolutely love. I think the splashing on here is also very unique. This one has more of a thinner leaf. Since they were in the mill, they probably do need some water, but this one seems like it has a little bit of a thinner leaf to it. There is a look at the oldest leaves here. So these ones are a little bit smaller. It looks like it's sizing up as it grows. So the newest leaf on here is still hardening off a little bit. I just really love this Hoya, guys. I think it is so pretty and I can't wait to see how this one grows for me. I'm going to have to get both of these out of the packaging today, take a look at the substrate they're in, and possibly get them moved over. I'm probably not going to do it on today's video, but I will let you guys know how these end up growing for me. I'm super excited to have these, and hopefully soon I can propagate these guys and share them in the shop. So there is one last look at these beautiful new Hoyas. So next I'm going to be showing you guys my box store Hoya find. I ended up finding a really cute Hoya at Lowe's a couple weeks ago. So let's go ahead and move on with the rest of today's video, guys, and I will talk to you again here soon. So let's go ahead and get started with the plant chores we need to get done today. So first I need to repot this Hoya White Eddie Eye. I think this is just the variegated White Eddie Eye. I ended up picking this one up at Lowe's, but I thought this was a really cool find for Lowe's. I never really saw this one before. It is by Live Trends. currently in a heavy soil mix. You can see there. So I do want to get this out of that mix and get it into something a little more draining. I'm also thinking this will look cute in one of my hanging planters up by the window. So I'm going to go ahead and get this out of this pot, put it in a clear pot, and then get it in some chunkier mix and then hang it up in my window. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is just loosen up the sides. Here is what the mix looks like. So it just looks like it's in a standard potting mix. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen this up. It's very heavy. It's a very heavy soil mix, which you don't necessarily have to take your plants out of the mix that you buy it in. Usually if I see pests or something, I will do that, but with this one and most of my Hoyas, I just like to start it in my own mix. So, and I didn't see any pests on this, so I'm not going to remove every last bit of that soil because I am repotting it into a soil mix. The mix I'm using just has a little bit more perlite in it and then a little orchid bark and tree fern just to give it a little bit more aeration on those roots. So most Hoya don't like their roots to be in water. They do like a lot of circulation around their root system. So that is why I do that. So yeah, just gonna loosen all that off there. All right, so I'm gonna clean off my mat and then I'm gonna show you guys the soil mix we're gonna be repotting it in. So this is a look at the soil mix I'm gonna repot it in. As I mentioned earlier, this is just a mix of regular potting soil. So any standard potting soil mix will work here. And then I just mixed in some of that orchid bark, some tree fern, and some different sizes of perlite. And this is what I use for a lot of my anthuriums as well. So it's just a really nice little aeroid mix that has a lot of airflow. So this is what it looks like. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to be repotting it in about the same size pot it was in. I think this is probably a 3 or 4 inch pot. A lot of soil. I'm just going to arrange the little cuttings in here. I think this is going to make a really pretty hanging planter. I really love the look of this Hoya. It's one that I have kind of overlooked before. I never really considered getting this one, but it just was speaking to me. Last time I went to Lowe's, they had just got these in, and I just really loved the way this one looked. So we will see if I end up liking it. I usually like Hoyas that grow a little bit faster. And I like cute and dainty Hoyas, but I have a lot of Hoyas in my collection. So it just depends. But my favorite are usually a little bit more dainty. I'm just going to work that mix in around here. And repotting Hoyas can get a little tricky since their roots are so fine. But I just like to tap it and then kind of just push it down in there around the roots. And I'll probably kind of arrange this one where those roots are growing once I get it more compacted. Kind of tap it down in there. As you can see, this one has a little bit of roots. It looks like it's a longer piece and it ended up laying on the soil, so it's growing roots. So I'm just going to go ahead and put those roots against the soil mix and cover them up a little bit. And pretty good. I find that most of my Hoyas really enjoy growing in tree fern. I do have a couple in pond, but I don't really like pond too much. I'm still getting used to it, but here it is. Let me go ahead and grab my watering can and we'll give this a water. All right, so let me just show you the little planter I'm going to be using. This is a hanging planter, and I'm just going to stick this plant down into this planter and put it up in my window. And I do get these from Amazon. I love these. This one is a little bit bigger than I would normally use for this size Hoya, but I'm just going to go ahead and use it today, and I'm probably going to end up moving some more of my Hoyas around. So let's go ahead and set this one in here. And then I'm just going to give it a water till it runs out the bottom. But I do love these hanging planters. They work really well. And I especially love my Hoyas in them. I think it looks really pretty. But this one is a little bit bigger for this guy, but I am going to move a lot of my Hoyas around today, and I got to water them and get them cleaned up. So I'll probably end up doing that off camera, but I'm just going to go ahead and set it in this one for now. I think it looks really cute in there, and I can't wait to watch this one grow. So I'll keep you guys updated on how this one responds to the mix and how I end up liking it after I grow it for a while. So there is the Hoya Bella. Let's go ahead and get on to our next Hoya plant chore we have to do today. We are going to be repotting my Hoya Bella marginata. That's the Bella that gets the white outer variegation. This is definitely one of my favorite Hoyas in my collection. I just think that it grows really fast and it always is putting out peduncles, but I still haven't got it to flower yet, but I feel like that's a good sign that someday it might just give me some blooms. So this one is currently in a 3-inch pot and the roots are coming out the bottom. I think that this one probably would prefer to get watered a little more often. I think I've been letting it dry out a little too much. Let's go ahead and get this one repotted. I'm going to go ahead and squeeze on the ends here. All right, so this one looks like it was in my soul soil mix. A while back, I was at my local nursery and they had some of that soul soil mix, so I bought it and tried it. I ended up repotting a lot of my Hoyas into it just because it was pretty chunky. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and get this out of that mix and then put it in that mix we put the other Hoya in earlier. So let's go ahead and get most of this off. The roots on this are very dry, but I think this one will appreciate being in a little bit of a heavier soil so it's not drying out as much. All right, let's go ahead and brush that old mix off to the side here. And I'm not going to remove it from the roots or anything, that extra soil and bark. It should be fine. So I'm going to go ahead and repot it into this slightly bigger nursery pot. I believe this one is a 4-inch. Use the rest of the soil mix we've made up for the last plant. So hopefully we have enough, or I might have to go mix some more up. I'm just going to add this to the bottom. This is a really gorgeous Hoya. I love this Hoya. This was probably one of the first Hoyas I ended up buying once I started getting into Hoya. I found this really cute shop on Etsy and they had so many great plants, but they ended up closing down. So unfortunately they don't sell Hoya anymore. So I don't really have a favorite shop on Etsy to get Hoya from anymore. But I'm always looking to buy new Hoya. I have found a few sellers that are on Palm Street. So, all right. So that looks like that is just enough for us to get this guy in a new pot. Here is what it looks like. It looks so much better. I think it'll be a lot happier in this potting mix versus that Soul Soil super dry, chunky mix it was in. So let me go ahead and get a saucer and we will get this one watered. All right, so I found a little saucer for this guy. Let's go ahead and give it a water. I did get a new pet cockatiel. If you hear a bird next to me chirping, that is what that sound is. It is a little noisy. Used to it because it is just a little noisier than I like around here. So let's go ahead and set this one off to the side and I will go ahead and get my next Hoya that we're going to repot. So next we have this Hoya Bahoy times open. Here's what the tag says. Is a Hoya that I ended up getting on Palm Street a while back. It was a new seller. I don't think she sells Hoyas anymore. She mainly sells anthuriums, but I did get this from her. It's a very large leaf Hoya. So if you look here, it does have a lot of veining that is pretty prominent there in the leaves. It also gets a lot of splashing. This one has like a really thick leaf too. I'm just chopping this one back and we're gonna prop up some of my Hoyas here soon together. But I want to go ahead and take a look at the root system on this guy, see if it needs to be repotted. I might end up putting it into a smaller pot or we will put it in the same size pot. I just want to use a clear pot. That way I can keep a better eye on the root system. So let's go ahead and get this guy out and see what he looks like. So yeah, right away I can see that it is in a very large pot. There's barely any roots. So I do want to get this one moved into something a little smaller, especially now that it is just a little cutting. So this looks like it was in some sort of chunky soil mix. I did experiment with putting leca in a lot of my self soil mixes I did a few months back. I ended up not really liking leca. I just find that it rises to the top of the mix a lot. It almost seems like it rises to the top way more than perlite as well. So I don't really like leca. So I am gonna go ahead and take it out of that mix. So let's go ahead and get this one cleaned up. Here's what the roots look like. So just a really fine, shallow root system. Definitely doesn't need to be in something this large. Let's go ahead and clean up. All right, guys, so I went ahead and mixed up more of that chunky mix we were using earlier. Let's go ahead and get this one repotted. I'm gonna go ahead and add some of that chunky mix. We'll go ahead and fill in the sides here. I'm just going to leave that growth point sticking above the soil mix. And I'm probably going to pin this down with a strawberry pin. So I have a little strawberry pin here, and I get these from Amazon. So I'll go ahead and link those in the description for you guys in case you are interested. But I just secure it down in there like that. So that helps keep it in place and will help it from toppling over. I have this cute little cash pot. I'm going to set this one in. This will also help it from toppling over when it dries out to put it in a heavier pot. So I'm just going to stick it in there like that. I have my little saucer here. Let me move the soil out of the way. Put that off to the side. Just going to give this a water. And hopefully this one will do a lot better now that it is in a smaller pot. So there is that one. I think it looks so much better in the smaller pot. So let's go ahead and take a look at another Hoya. So this is my Hoya Fungii, I think is how you say it. This is one of my favorite Hoyas. I think this one is so pretty. I really love the veining on here and the splash. The leaves are a little bit thinner. Let's go ahead and take a look at the roots. All right. So this one looks like it's in a tree fern and perlite mix. So we can probably just go ahead and reuse that and just pot it up in a little bit bigger of a pot. The roots are a little bit larger on this one, so that is how we know it is ready to be repotted. Usually if the roots start wrapping around the bottom of the pot, usually it's a good sign it needs repotted. Just like our last Hoya, you could see that the root system was very shallow and wasn't very developed in there. So that tells me that it was in way too big of a pot. So this one should appreciate getting moved into a slightly larger pot. So I think it's in a 3-inch pot. So I'm going to try to find a 4 or a 5-inch pot to move this one into today. So let me go do that real quick. So this is the next size up. So this is a 4-inch. Let's go ahead and add some of our soil mix to the bottom. I'm just going to kind of loosen these roots up a little bit. Take off this little stake here. Just kind of loosen that up a little bit. And when I'm adding it, the soil I'm adding to it already has perlite and tree fern in it. So this should be fine to just go ahead and keep it in that and then just add a little bit of this other mix. Go ahead and push that down in there. It's a stake to kind of squish that down in there. Get rid of any air pockets. And I think I'm going to have to grab a larger stake for this one. It was on a pretty small one, so I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. A larger stake, this might be a little too big for it, but this is the only one I can find at the moment. So we're just going to go ahead and attach this guy to the stake here. I think I'm going to add a few of these fun little butterfly clips. I get these from Amazon, so I'll put those in the description for you guys. But I'm just going to use these to attach this to the trellis. Being careful to avoid where it may be putting out some new leaves. So there it is. I think it looks really cute. I love this Hoya, such a cute Hoya. So let me go ahead and get my mat cleaned off, and then I'm going to show you how I prop up my Hoya propagation. So let's go ahead and get this one moved over, and then I will clean up my mat and be right back. Okay, so next I'm going to show you how I prop up my Hoya propagation. So I ended up taking a lot of cuttings from some Hoyas that I needed to downsize a little bit. So we have quite a few different ones we need to get potted up today. So most of these are probably going to end up being listed on my shop. So I'll just go ahead and walk you through the process I use for propping up my cuttings. So let me move these off to the side here, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So I like to put my Hoya cuttings in these little, I think they are 3-ounce cups. I get these from Amazon, but they're the perfect size for Hoya cuttings. And what I do is I will put holes in the bottom of one cup, and then I will leave the other cup just as it is, and I will set the cup with holes inside of this cup. And then it kind of is just like a self-watering system. So that is what I like to use for my Hoya cuttings. I love this size cup. I think it works really well. So to put the holes in the bottom of my cups, I use a soldering iron, and I got this one from Walmart. I think it was like $6. It was really cheap. You can also get these on Amazon, or hardware stores usually have them. But you just plug this in and it heats up, and then you can just poke holes into the bottom of your cups. So I love having this tool around. So that is what I use for that. So in this container, I have a mix of perlite, tree fern, and a little bit of bark pieces in there as well. And this is what I normally use to prop up my Hoyas. Sometimes I will just use straight perlite, but lately I have been adding in a little bit of tree fern. I just really think that my Hoyas like tree fern, so that is why. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab a scoop of this and fill that cup up like that. And I will grab our first cutting. So I also like to use something called Take Root. And this is just a rooting hormone you can use on your props just to help them develop roots. So I do like to use this. I'll just open this up, and then I will just stick the end of the cutting in there until I get a little bit of the powder on the end of the root there. So this cutting is from my Hoya Crimson Queen. I really love this plant. I think it is so pretty. So I'm so excited to grow this one out and hopefully list it in my shop soon. So if you see right here, this is the node of the cutting. So when you have a Hoya cutting, you'll have a little bump there where the leaves come out, and that is the node, and that is where the new growth point will come out of. As you can see, this one already has a growth point coming out of it. So we're just going to go ahead and stick that bottom half in there until the node sits on the top of the perlite mix. So then I'm going to take my strawberry pins and just kind of secure that node down in here, avoiding smashing that growth point. So this will help it stay secure as it roots. And then I will just go ahead and give it a water. And then it is good to go. So let's go ahead and prop up another one. So this next cutting is the Hoya. We'll put the exact name of this one below, but this is one I got from Palm Street. This newest leaf is coming in really wonky. It's just really large if you look at this other leaf. So not sure what happened. I'm thinking about removing this leaf, but I do have this cutting. We're going to go ahead and prop this one up today. So let's go ahead and get this one moved over. I'm just going to take the end of that cutting and dip it into the rooting hormone, and then place it into the perlite and tree fern mixture. Take my strawberry pin and pin it down. And sometimes they won't really stay in there until you get a little bit of water in the cup. So I like to just kind of hold it down as I add some water. This one is a little bit top heavy, so I do need to kind of hold it in place just until I get a little bit of water in there. This one is ready to go. So there is that one. Let's go ahead and prop up another one. Go ahead and put the name of this cutting below. But this one had a really odd shape to its leaf, so I didn't really like the way it was coming in. So I'm going to go ahead and prop this one up, and hopefully it'll get some new growth on it. So we're just going to go ahead and dip it into the rooting hormone. Grab a cup with the holes. And then we're going to go ahead and stick this guy in here. Secure it down with the pin. And grab our second cup that doesn't have any holes. And then just give this a water. And there you have it. So super easy. I love propping Hoyas. So let's go ahead and prop up a few more. And I think this one is one that fell off of one of my Hoya Matildes. This is the one that has a little less variegation on the leaves. This is not as splashy as my other Hoya. So the stem on here is pretty short. So hopefully this one will root okay. So let's go ahead and stick this one down in here. Grab that other cup and set it down, which I should have done before I watered it, but that's okay. So there is the Hoya Matilde. So next we have this Hoya Lucanosa Mint. This is one of my favorite Hoyas, if not my favorite Hoya. I do really love the Hoya Matilde as well, but this one is just so pretty and minty. Go ahead and stick this one down in there. This one I might end up adding a little trellis to it. So let me go ahead and give it a water, and then I'm going to find a little plant stake and some clips for this one. So let me do that. So I'm just going to use these Arca 6-inch houseplant trellises. I got this from Propagation Diaries. So these are just really thin, clear acrylic stakes. So I'm just going to go ahead and stick that in here. So with these smaller stakes, I had a lot of trouble with my regular clear clips that I get with them staying on. So as you can see, it's just really loose on there, so they're a little too big. So I found that these little hair clips work really well. So I found these for $1 at Dollar Tree. I am going to end up ordering some more from Amazon in bulk, so I have a lot more. But for now, I think they will work just perfectly. So they're just a little hair clip. These have little tiny flowers on them. So I'm just going to go ahead and clip this guy up here on the stake like that. Isn't that so cute? I just love this Hoya too, but little hair clips just work perfectly for clipping onto these smaller trellises. So if you have a Dollar Tree, be sure to look and see if they have any of those. But there is that one. Let's go ahead and take a look at another one. Okay, so for our last one, we have just a tiny little Hoya Bella. This one, I dropped my Hoya Bella plant earlier and this little piece came off. So we're going to try to propagate it. It might be a little too new to propagate. It does have a little peduncle on the top there. So let's just go ahead and stick this in the rooting hormone and see if we can get it to root. It's probably not going to end up working, but I'm going to at least try to save it. So let's just try to save this one. See how it does. But there is that one. All right, so here is a final look at all the props we propped up today. I will keep you guys updated how these do, and once they are rooted, I will go ahead and list these guys in my shop. So if you're interested in any of these plants that we propped up today, be sure to check out my shop in a couple weeks, and hopefully they will be ready for you guys. So I will put my shop information in the description for you guys, and let's go ahead and move on with today's video. All right, guys, so that wraps up today's video. If you enjoyed today's video, go ahead and give it a like. And if you aren't already subscribed, please consider subscribing to my channel so you don't miss out on my next video. If you are interested in shopping any of today's plants, be sure to check out my Etsy shop. I will put the link in the description for you guys. So if you aren't already a member of my Patreon, be sure to check out my Patreon. If you are interested in learning more about what I offer over on Patreon and that discount code, I will put all that information in the description for you guys. And I will see you guys in the next one.